Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Krishna
Bhagavad Paramhamsa Pariprajaka Ashto Turasata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nama Charja Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Welcome to all. We're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 4, text 68. Today is November 24th, 2022 in New York, one day later in Vrindavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadhati Sapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Horipriye Vanchako Putavibhyascha Gopal Sinto Pyevacha Padita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is continuing to describe the confidential reasons for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. He's asserted that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. And now he's describing who is Srimati Radharani. He's begun by discussing the different energies of Krishna, material energy, spiritual energy, marginal energy. Then within the spiritual energy, the Samvid potency, the potency for existence, for knowledge, the Sandini potency, potency for existence, and the Ladini potency, the potency for pleasure. Now he continues. Vladinir Shar Prema Prema Shar Pav Pavir Paramakashta Nam Mahapav. The essence of the Hladini potency is love of God. The essence of love of God is emotion, Pav. And the ultimate development of emotion is Mahabhav, purport. The product of the Hladini Shakti is love of Godhead, which has two divisions, namely pure love of Godhead and adulterated love of Godhead. Only when the Hladini Shakti emanates from Sri Krishna and is bestowed upon the living being to attract him does the living being become a pure lover of God. But when the same Hladini Shakti is adulterated by the external material energy and emanates from the living being, it does not attract Krishna. On the contrary, the living being becomes attracted by the glamour of the material energy. At that time, instead of becoming mad with love of Godhead, the living being becomes mad after material sense enjoyment. And because of his association with the qualitative modes of material nature, he is captivated by its interactions of distressful, unhappy feelings. So the love of Godhead is the essence of the Hladini Shakti, and that's further refined as Bhav and Mahabhav. The Srila Prabhupada distinguishes, of course, between pure love of God and adulterated. And the interesting language here is the statement that pure love of God emanates from Krishna and adulterated love from the living being. I take that to mean that in pure love of Godhead, Krishna is the center, and love proceeds toward Krishna. And in the adulterated love, I'm the center, and love proceeds from me towards objects of sense gratification. Any comments or questions here? Prabhin says, how is the adulterated love of Godhead come under the Hladini, since it is the jurisdiction of the external energy and not the internal energy, Hladini? The so-called love in the material world is a reflection of the Hladini Shakti. So it's originally it's love of Krishna. But when it becomes adulterated, diverted, then it becomes love of body, love of home, love of wife, love of car, love of this, love of that. Originally it's the pure energy of love for Krishna, but it becomes adulterated. The original consciousness of the living being is Krishna consciousness, but it becomes adulterated or diverted, then it becomes Maya consciousness. Kendra Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Looking at this last sentence, I found it interesting that when the living being becomes mad after sense enjoyment, he's captivated by the interactions of distressful, unhappy feelings. And I was thinking how that so describes the living entity when he's mad after sense enjoyment, because most of what he's going for in reality is going to bring him distressful and unhappy feelings. But because he's so invested in the project of getting sense gratification, that distress and unhappiness is just, well, that's part of the package. That's what I have. That's the price I have to pay to get some happiness. So that's also, I tell myself, that's also happiness.
A camel chewing on the thorns is getting happiness. It's interesting here that the interactions of distressful, unhappy feelings are the effects of the Hladini Shakti turned inside out. The Hladini potency is the potency for pure enjoyment, but when it's perverted or diverted by material contact, it becomes something else. It becomes unhappy, distressful, illusory. One tells oneself that, as you said, enjoyment is here, but instead we wind up with distress. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay.
Prabin Prabhu put a quote in the chat box there.
Oh. So hamranam shula sukhaya dukam mahat katanam. So hamranam shula sukhaya dukam mahat katanam. Viramaya tasya pravartaye bhagavatam puranam yad aha sakshad bhagavan rishibhya. Let me now begin speaking on the Bhagavad Purana, which was directly spoken to the great sages by the personality of Godhead for the benefit of those entangled in extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure. Yeah. Third canto. Mahabhav Sarupa Sri Radha Thakurani Sarvagun Kami Krishna Kanta Shiromani. Sri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhav. She is the repository of all good qualities and the crest jewel among all the lovely consorts of Lord Krishna. Purport. The unadulterated action of the Hladini Shakti is displayed in the dealings of the damsels of Braja and Srimati Radharani, who was the topmost participant in that transcendental group. The essence of the Hladini Shakti is love of Godhead. The essence of love of Godhead is bhava, or transcendental sentiment. And the highest pitch of that bhava is called Mahabhav. Srimati Radharani is the personified embodiment of these three aspects of transcendental consciousness. She is therefore the highest principle in love of Godhead and is the supreme lovable object of Sri Krishna. So here Srila Prabhupada summarizes these two verses. And the unadulterated action of the loving Shakti. There's adulterated consciousness, then there's unadulterated consciousness. Unadulterated consciousness, unadulterated love appears in the dealings of Srimati Radharani and the Rajagopis. Tayorapupayor madhye radhika sarvatarika mahabhava surupeyam gunar patipariyasi. Of these two gopis, Radharani and Chandravali, Srimati Radharani is superior in all respects. She is the embodiment of Mahabhav, and she surpasses all in good qualities. This is a quotation from Srila Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, Radha Prakarana 3. Krishna Prema Bhavita Jar Chitendriya Kai Krishna Nija Shakti Radha Kridar Sahai. Her mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy, and she helps him in his pastimes. Purport: Srimati Radharani is as fully spiritual as Krishna. No one should consider her to be material. She is definitely not like the conditioned souls who have material bodies, gross and subtle, covered by material senses. She is all spiritual, and both her body and her mind are of the same spiritual embodiment. Because her body is spiritual, her senses are also spiritual. Thus, her body, mind, and senses fully shine in love of Krishna. She is the personified Hladini Shakti, the pleasure-giving energy of the Lord's internal potency. Therefore, she is the only source of enjoyment for Sri Krishna. Krishna Prema Bhavita Jar Jitendriya Kai, her body, her consciousness, her mind, Chitta, and Indriya, her senses, are all Krishna Prema Bhavita, absorbed in love of Krishna, permeated by love of Krishna. Krishna Nija Shakti Radha Kridar Saha. Sri Krishna cannot enjoy anything that is internally different from him. Therefore, Radha and Sri Krishna are identical. Krishna doesn't go slumming. He doesn't go trying to enjoy the external energy. He doesn't try to enjoy anything illusory. He doesn't try to enjoy the reflection of reality. He enjoys reality. The Sandhini portion of Sri Krishna's internal potency has manifested the all-attractive form of Sri Krishna. And the same internal potency in the Hladini feature has presented Srimati Radharani, who is the attraction for the all-attractive. No one can match Srimati Radharani in the transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna. But Krishna's body is a manifestation of the internal energy, and the same is true for Srimati Radharani. Krishna's body is manifest by the Sandhini potency, and the body of Srimati Radharani by the Hladini internal potency. Any questions or comments here? Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratipavitavis Tapirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabhi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Puto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who resides in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, who resembles his own spiritual figure and who embodies the ecstatic potency, Ladini. Their companions are her confidants, who embody extensions of her bodily form and who are imbued and permeated with ever blissful spiritual rasa. Purport: this text is from the Brahma Samhita 537. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, Pratipavata, peace, be. Ananda Chinmaya, be. Nijarupataya Kalabhi, his parts and portions of his pleasure potency. Nijarupataya Kalabhi, they're parts of himself, and they're bhavitahi, they are absorbed in transcendental emotion. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, transcendental pleasure in the spiritual relationship of love of Krishna. And Goloka Nivasati, Krishna resides in Goloka Vrindavan, but Akilatma Bhuta, he's within the heart of all living beings. So Kaviraj Goswami cites this verse, quotes this verse, reinforcing the spiritual identity of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Prabhin says, does their companions mean only the gopis intimate to Radharani? Their companions are her confidants. The interesting question, I suppose the question is meant because then we have the, what do we say? The living beings, the marginal living beings who are not directly manifest by the Ladini Shakti, they're manifest by the Jiva Shakti, the marginal potency. So there are those who are manifest directly from the Ladini Shakti. They're the intimate companions of Srimati Radharani. And then there are those who are blessed by the internal potency. They're, what would you say? Yes, they're blessed by the Ladini Shakti, or the Ladini Shakti, Prabhupada says elsewhere, is bestowed upon them. So they're in another category, but they're also absorbed in Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, transcendental love for Krishna. Is that okay? And Saraswati says, does Radharani expand into innumerable expansions in the same way, unlimited expansions as Krishna? that topic, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will take up in the course of this, of his description. Briefly, the answer is yes. Krishnere karai aiche rasha ashwadon kridar sahai aiche shuno vipulam. Now please listen to how Lord Krishna's consorts help him taste rasa and how they help in his pastimes. Rasa asvadan, how they help him taste rasa and how they help him in his pastimes of enjoyment. Krishna Kantagon Deki Tribhuta Prakar Eko Lakshmigan Pule Mahishi Gon Ar. Rajangana Rupa Ar Kantagon Char Shri Radhika Vete Kantagonir Vistar. The beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds: the goddesses of fortune, the queens, and the milkmaids of Braja, who are the foremost of all. These consorts all proceed from Radhika. Avatari Krishna Joyche Kore Avatar Ankshani Radha Hoite Tin Ganer Vistar. Just as the fountainhead, Lord Krishna, is the cause of all incarnations, so Sri Radha is the cause of all these consorts. Vaibhav Ganyena Tar Anga Vibhuti Bimba Prati Bimba Rupa Mahishir Prati. The goddesses of fortune are partial manifestations of Srimati Radhika, and the queens are reflections of her image. So it's being said essentially that as Krishna expands in innumerable forms, so Srimati Radharani expands in innumerable forms. She expands as Gopi associates of Lord Krishna. She expands as the queens, and she expands as the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha. Wherever Krishna has expanded with his pleasure potency, that pleasure potency is the expansion of the original pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani. And here, Bimba Pratibimba, the expansions and expansions of the expansions, or reflections and further reflections. So the immediate expansions are the gopis, then a little more distant, the Dwarka queens, and then more distant, the Lakshmis. Lakshmigan tar vaibhav vilashank sharu mahishi kwan vaibhav prakash sharu. The goddesses of fortune are her plenary portions, and they display the forms of vaibhav vilas. The queens are of the nature of her vaibhav prakash. These technical terms are brought in. I don't have anything to say about that. Anyone else want to comment? Ask a question.
Maharaj, Meena had a question just above this verse.
The queens are reflections, wondering what the queens are reflected on. Well, the queens are reflections. This, I don't think we have to take it in a literal sense, that the way a mirror is reflecting. So these queens are just reflections in the sense of not having substantial existence. I don't think that's the intention, but extensions. As a reflection extends sunlight, and then there might be an extension of the extension. You picture a mirror reflecting the sunlight, and then another mirror reflecting that reflection. Yes. Welcome.
Absolutely.
So there's the sunlight, then there's the reflection of the sunlight, then there's the reflection of the reflection. So you're getting sunlight in all of these manifestations. It's still sunlight, but it's not as full. It's one step removed, another step removed, another step removed. So in that sense, the queens are one step removed from Goloka Vrindavan and the Braja Gopis who are expanded from Srimati Radharani. And then the further from the queens, the Lakshmis are one step removed again, because Krishna now, he's not in Vrindavan, he's not even in Dwarka, but he's gone to Vaikuntha as Narayan. So when he's Narayan, then he's still Krishna, but what would you say, the less full manifestation. So the same is true of the consort of Lord Narayan, Srimati Lakshmi Devi. She is also non-different from Srimati Radharani, but she doesn't manifest as fully the love of Godhead. That's the essence of the pleasure potency. Then there's a question from, I hope that's all right. Then Murari Gupta has a question. Do these expanded personalities have free will to not love Krishna? I'm puzzled over where the capacity to reject Krishna starts. Yes, this is an interesting question. This ability to accept or reject Krishna features prominently in the marginal potency. That's where we see that the living being may turn toward Krishna or turn away from Krishna. He can use free will properly or misuse free will. That's really where we see that, is in the marginal potency. In the internal potency, we don't see that problem. We don't see that the full-fledged manifestations of the internal potency are ever at risk of turning away from Krishna, being captivated by the external energy. That's simply not there. Yeah. Anything more about that? That becomes an interesting discussion if we pursue it, but perhaps in the present context, that's enough. Unless you'd like to pursue it more, we can. Okay. Saraswati says, can you explain how Mother Jamuna seems to be an exception because she's a gopi in Braja and also a queen of Dwarka, although she's worshipped for her complete devotion to serve the Brajvasis and show mercy to the conditioned souls too. All of these manifestations are something and something. That is to say, the queens, for example, are also not different from the gopis, just as Krishna is non-different from Krishna in Vrindavan is non-different from Krishna in Dwarka. It's not that there's a different person in Dwarka, it's the same Krishna. And when Krishna is present in Vaikuntha, it's the same Krishna, even though he's appearing as Narayana. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantam Rupam. Although these forms all manifest themselves differently, they're all one. Eka Brahma Dutiya Nasti. There's only one absolute truth, not two. So there's only Krishna appearing in these different forms, as Vasudeva in Dwarka, as Narayan in Vaikuntha, as Lord Nrsimhadev, as Ram, Nrsimha, Nrsimha Varaha, Kurma, and so on. So for the counterparts of Lord Krishna, his energy, his internal energy, the same truth holds, that the queens are also Srimati Radharani in an expanded form. They're not different from Srimati Radharani, but they're at the same time individual and distinct, just as Narayan is not different from Krishna, and yet he's individual and distinct. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, anything else? Akar Subhav Bhede Raja Devi Gon Kai Vyuha Rupatar Rasher Karon. The Raja Devis have diverse bodily features. They are her expansions and are the instruments for expanding rasa. They're not all the same. The gopis are all individually different. Bahukanta bina nahe rasher ulas lilar sahai lagi bahut prakash. Without many consorts, there's not such exaltation in rasa. Therefore, there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. So variety is the mother of enjoyment. So Krishna enjoys having many consorts with different qualities. We hear that there are right-wing gopis and left-wing gopis. The right-wing gopis are submissive and agreeable. The left-wing gopis are more feisty and quarrelsome. And that all contributes to the enjoyment in Dwarka. Rukmini Devi is very submissive, and so much so that when Krishna was joking with her and suggesting that she marry someone else, and instead of quarreling with Krishna, she just faints. Whereas Satyabhama, on the other hand, is willful. She's, we'd say, hot-headed, quarrelsome, argumentative. So these are different tastes. Very good. It's too big. Thank you. So this adds different tastes. Some of the gopis are expert in this, some are expert in that, some speak this way, some speak that way, some are of this nature, some of that nature. So these are different kinds of attractions, just as fruits are of different natures. Some are very sweet, some are very astringent, some are sour. What is that? Amla is a sour fruit. Mango is also by nature a little sour. And there are other, like dates, they're just sweet and sweet. But it's this variety. When you have a platter of fruits, and some of them are very sweet, and some of them are one taste, some are another taste. So it adds to the enjoyment. It adds to the enjoyment, or in any food, in any plate, there's rice and dal and chapatis and chutney and sweet rice. So the variety creates enjoyment. So for Krishna's enjoyment, Srimati Radharani expands, not just in exact copies, or it could be like that all the gopis in the rasa dance are the same, all the gopis in Braja are the same. They're not. They're all different, because that gives more pleasure to Krishna. So there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. And Saraswati says Satyabhama is an expert warrior. Yes, she's expert in battles of love. Dharmaje Brajenana Bhava Rasha Pede Krishna Ke Karai Rasadika Lila Svade. Among them are various groups of consorts in Braja who have varieties of sentiments and mellows. They help Lord Krishna taste all the sweetness of the rasa dance and other pastimes. Purport. As already explained, Krishna and Radha are one in two. They are identical. Krishna expands himself in multi-incarnations and plenary portions, like the Purushas. Similarly, Srimati Radharani expands herself in multi-forms as the goddesses of fortune, queens, and the damsels of Braja. Such expansions from Srimati Radharani are all her plenary portions. All these womanly forms of Krishna are expansions corresponding to his plenary expansions of Vishnu forms. These expansions have been compared to reflected forms of the original form. There's no difference between the original form and the reflected forms. The female reflections of Krishna's pleasure potency are as good as Krishna himself. The plenary expansions of Krishna's personality are called Vaibhav Vilas and Vaibhav Prakash, and Radha's expansions are similarly described. The goddesses of fortune are her Vaibhav Vilas forms, and the queens are her Vaibhav Prakash forms. The personal associates of Radharani, the damsels of Braja, are direct expansions of her body. As expansions of her personal form and transcendental disposition, they are agents of different reciprocations of love in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, under the supreme direction of Srimati Radharani. In the transcendental realm, enjoyment is fully relished in variety. The exuberance of transcendental mellows is increased by the association of a large number of personalities similar to Radharani, who are also known as gopis or sakhis. The variety of innumerable mistresses is a source of relish for Sri Krishna, and therefore these expansions from Srimati Radharani are necessary for enhancing the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. Their transcendental exchanges of love are the super excellent affairs of the pastimes in Vrindavan. By these expansions of Srimati Radharani's personal body, she helps Lord Krishna taste the rasa dance and other similar activities. Srimati Radharani, being the central petal of the Ras Leela flower, is also known by the names found in the following verses. Any questions or comments here? Okay. So now what's going to happen is that Kaviraj Goswami is going to recite essentially various names of Srimati Radharani and explain them in brief. I think we won't get to we won't get to complete that description today. And in fact, maybe what we should do, since this is the natural stopping place, is just stop here and pick this up in our next meeting. Govindanandini Radha Govinda Mohini Govinda Sarvashad Sarvakanta Shirama. Yeah, these are all glorious names of Srimati Radharani, and there'll be more, and they'll be explained. Anything else? We just last minute or so. Okay, so let us stop here. And when we kirtan, Panchatattva. Give it a try. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Purnamansa Parivrajaka Charja Ashtottara Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nama Charja Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Radha Kuniki Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jaganamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Thank you all once again. Thank you to Meenadasi. Thank you to Kendra and Panchatattva. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shraddha. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Kante. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.